Please allow me to introduce Nagin Sarmani, who is founder and also the CEO of Girafa. Girafa is a company that is involved in reshaping internet in the world.
It's a bold That's our
it's a bold statement, but it has had a very interesting development since inception, where Nagin established this 10 years ago on his own, and then saw a little bit the challenges of running a business on your own, and how you need to team up and develop further. So we've invited Nagin with the government on this series that we call Blueprints of Success, where successful entrepreneurs and people who make things happen in this part of the area share in a way their own experiences and journeys. So Nagin is open to any kind of question you might have. These are not lectures or presentations. We don't have PowerPoints. I will ask Nagin to just give us a brief, in a way, journey up to today, and then we can open the floor for questions and answers and discussions. He promised that he'll answer everything that you ask, and if something is off limit, it's a corporate thing that it's a secret, we will specify.
I don't think we're going to have a lot of those, but it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for coming. This is my second time at the UK, and the first time I've been here was a pleasure. I've had a lot of questions that typically, when I go to places to speak to students and others, not a lot of questions come up, and I was impressed last time I was here how many interesting questions they came, even challenging ones. This is kind of, I don't mean to raise the bar, but it's an honor to be here. It's, as one of the leading institutions, and I know we have a lot of people who we work together with AFK and RIT, and you guys are really good, have a good community, have the ability to do things that innovative companies in this area of technology are very hard to do. And I don't mean just software engineering or programming, I mean any areas, because technology is changing so fast that it's very important to be able to adapt, keep up with new things and learn them so that you can actually survive and succeed. As far as me, I would prefer, as Bissar said, to have it because it's a very good group, smaller group, so we can have it a more personal discussion in terms of what I could potentially share from my experience. I'm no expert in no means except development programming. I was a professor of computer science in New York for 2.5 years, and here too, in Kosovo. But a lot of things questions that you might have that don't have to do with Girafa, have to do with technology and innovation, I will try to answer from my own experience. I don't think anybody's ever correct on those, so even if you quote me, I could be wrong, but we can discuss it in detail. But in a brief, I'm born in Kosovo. I studied until high school in Kosovo, then bachelor's, master's in computer science and MBA I did in New York. I studied at St. John's University and NYU. And at NYU, I had the chance to work on my master's project with a professor who was world leading in web search. He was chief scientist at Yahoo. You know Yahoo? When Yahoo was built.
That's a good question.
But the very first popular famous search engine was Yahoo. He was the one who did it. He's top 10 most cited professors in the world in academia in web searches. 2-3 years ago, he got a grant from Google to make Google search more efficient. So his profile, and I was lucky to meet him. He's originally from Germany. He did his PhD and others in the US. He worked for AT&T, Bell Labs, and researcher. He's top of the line in this field. He was my mentor. First, he was my professor in one class, and then he was my mentor in web search engines. I worked with him very closely. And as master's project, we built a fully scalable, large-scale, functional search engine for the New Zealand of the country. And that was the pinpoint of how everything started. I took that code, transformed it, made it to a new language, and that's how things started. The MBA helped me see the business side of it, the opportunities, be able to do a business plan, so marketing analysis, and be able to do some presentations. As computer science people or tech people are a little bit more introverted, and that helped me explore a little bit on the other side of the spectrum. Then after that, I was teaching computer science. Then I worked at Wall Street for a while. I was at Morgan Stanley for a few months. And I was at Broadridge Financial Solutions. At Broadridge, I led a project of over 50 people, 800,000 value, and we delivered. It was supposed to be delivered in 6 months. We delivered it in 4. And then one day, after 11 years in the States, after having a great job, delivered the project, got a promotion, got ESOP shares, and offered ESOP shares, and I quit. Everybody was very surprised. Within 2 weeks, I sold everything I had, my car, my furniture, except books. Books I brought them with me, and I came back to open job. Took my retirement account. In America, you can take your retirement account out, but you have to pay a penalty and taxes close to 50%, and put the first money in. Started alone. My parents' house is in Israel, and on the second floor of the house, I made a small office. Started there, got a grant from USAID, about $10,000, and the money that I took from my pension account, and started working alone with my brother. He's much younger than me. He's 14 years younger. He's still a developer with us. He's the first person who came to join the company. And we launched on February 2013, and we failed 3 days after. You know the story, probably you've heard it many times, I repeat it. And then I realized it cannot be done alone, as Visar said. And I was looking for people who are better than me in certain areas, and you will always find people who are better than you always. This is the fact, that's what it is. You could be the best at something at any given point in time, but as time moves on, somebody will be better than you. That kind of mentality helps keep up with new things and technology and sustainability. Otherwise, you perish. Just like Yahoo perished, and Lycos perished, and just like Google or Facebook will perish. Just like Walmart is getting so small compared to Amazon. And just like Amazon, as one of the biggest companies by market cap, $1 trillion, will go perish by others. Just like IBM was overshadowed by others, and Microsoft survived throughout the years. But eventually somebody will come back. So having that mentality allowed me to find co-founders and core team that we have with us today for 6 years now, who are better than me in at least one thing or more. And together then we relaunched in October 2014. And ever since we have been growing tremendously. Any people who study finance here? Finance, math? Okay, so we have a 314% compound annual growth rate in revenue. What this means is that not even in a single year, in the last 4 years, our growth was never under 100, and I think 143 was the lowest percent growth. We have had 500% growth years at times. And we are not talking thousands anymore, we're talking millions in revenue. So, to put this in perspective, what this means, it sounds great, right? But what does this mean? One day we got an idea, we were like, let's just put it in perspective that people understand. So, who's the Hall of Fame famous growth company? We were like, okay, who else other than Google? And we looked at Google revenue growth in 2001 and 2004, early days during the time when Google was getting investments. And what we did was, we looked at their revenue, and obviously they were like 400 million, 1 billion, 3 billion, But then we looked at their addressable market. Addressable market of the United States for Google at that time is 20 trillion. That's the GDP of the United States. The GDP of Kosovo and Albania combined is about 20 billion. So if you prorate those numbers and you take our revenue growth, we are as good as, and in some years better than Google grew from 2001 to 2004. So in that perspective, myself, I was very happy, but the team was very excited to find out that it really makes sense. Because you can say you run fast to 100 meters, but how fast is fast? Well, we have. Who's the how fast is fast in 100-meter run? Anybody? Usain Bolt. So if you want to know how fast you're running, if it's fast enough, how fast is fast enough, that's what you do. So it is a very impressive growth. As humble and modest as we can be, the growth is really impressive. It has impacted us a lot. As a company, we've grown a lot. It has put a lot of pressure on us. Visar knows we are in the office, me, myself. I sleep in the office sometimes. I'm there Saturdays, I'm there Sundays. It's just the way our culture is built. You cannot do that kind of growth. We don't accept to grow 10%, 20%, 30%. We might 2-3 years later. But our target for this year is 100% plus. Still. In total, we have raised about $10 million. The recent one was 6.8. VC Capital, we have a leading VC, Rockaway Capital, who works in Prague, San Francisco, Brazil, primarily very focused in Central East Europe. They generated $2 billion revenue, their portfolio last year, 5,000 plus employees. And they are very active in Kosovo and Albania now. They're interested to invest much more. They're looking to buy companies, they're looking to invest in other companies. And we have about 15 other angel investors. People like former managing director of JP Morgan, he is an investor with us. His own personal money. It's not like, because VC fund is somebody give you the money, you take the money, you invest somewhere else. And in this case, angels actually give you their hard-earned money that they actually work for. We have Esther Dyson, top 10 most influential woman in tech in the world. By the Time magazine, has over 150 companies she invests in. Any company she invests, at least 5-6 other investors will invest in that company without speaking to their founders. I have other investors that came because of Esther without speaking to us. We just signed a document signed. I knew who they were. For instance, managing director of Techstars Boston is one of our investors. We have a cardiologist, Albanian from New York, head of cardiology department in New York. We have another Albanian, 2 Albanian investors, Jeroen Baraliu. He's top 30 under 30 in Wall Street. And we have other partners in Kosovo and Albania, but this is the overall story. Where we want to go, our goal is to build the internet economy in the region, not just Kosovo, Albania, but in the region. What does that mean? We have traveled a lot. Any services that developed economies are taken for granted when it comes to internet services, whatever that might be, food delivery or whatever you can think of online that you can do. We think we're going to select and choose those to build them here, but adopt them, not copy paste, but innovate, not invent. Take an e-commerce like Amazon that works, adapt it for our market. How do we innovate? People don't want to pay credit card too much online. They want to pay cash on delivery. That's fine. That's how we do it. So our goal is to do that, and our big our ambitious goal is by 2023, 24, we want to be listed at NASDAQ, the biggest stock exchange. I think this is as a very informal intro and highlights. There are so many details that I can stop in any of them, but I would rather open for any question and focus on what you really want. Yep.
What was the initial purpose of the, let's say, company or your startup? I mean, was it just you wanted to bring something new, something innovative in Kosovo, or you wanted to drive social change or change in any other aspect, economic, political, considering the situation? What was the initial purpose or the drive that made you?
I understand. It depends how you look at it. There is a lot of reasons combined. But eventually, in my case, it was very simple, the main one. I was visiting home every year and a half from the States when I was studying there. And one night I go to present and I'm sitting with my father and it was like 11 p.m. And I forgot I'm in Kosovo. And I say, I want to order some pizza online. And my father just looks at me. But he doesn't give me the look as if, no, it doesn't exist to it. He gives me the look as if I told you, oh, there is a time machine over there. You're going to look at it like, what the hell are you talking about? Are you okay? What did you drink? So you look on that absurd look, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, imagine something that's a reality, common sense, in New York at that time. Domino's Pizza was doing this. And somebody, the citizen of this world, thinks that's a time machine in a way. Absurd. Imagine what the opportunity that is. That was opportunity business-wise. I already had the technical opportunity. I already had a project for my school that I could transport. I had the technical, so I knew what to do and I knew how to do it, or at least I thought so. So initially the problem was why doesn't Google do a better job in indexing opinion pages? Or why doesn't the website show pizzerias who deliver pizza? And that was our problem statement. In time, we realized that was correct, but we needed to extend. Our problem statement was not that the global players are not doing a good job. It was, partially, but the second part was that a lot of information don't exist anymore. You can offer something to a pizzeria to sell online, but they are not ready to sell. So we will organize the information better, and we will allow companies to offer these services. And that's what we are doing now. But it was a short answer: opportunity, business, and technical know-how. Secondary and others were, of course, why did I do it in Kosovo as opposed to New York? Is because I really wanted to do it in my country. But the first one was opportunity. Second was, if I want to do it anywhere, I want to do it.
You mentioned that you failed once. How did you find the will to continue this project again?
It's the toughest part. It depends. I think we fail every day. Me not looking at my calendar to make sure the 11th it's a failure. It's a lesson learned. We fail every day. But I don't think it's a matter of how you fail. It's a matter of whether you give up or not. I could have said, when we started calling it 11:39, I could have said, oh, I missed it, have a good day. That's failure. But seeing that, being on the car and jumping on the ring and coming, I think it is a failure, lesson learned, but you do it. So same thing also with this, it's just on the bigger scale. So for a week, I was like, out. Right? You really have to gather yourself together. I had spent over $50,000 on this. I had left my dream job and perfect economic prosperity in the States that I had worked so hard. I left all my potential green card citizenship, everything after that, right? And I come here 7-8 months later, I spent all the money, I'm living with my father. I have no idea. And I was 30-something, right? It was a tough one. But then a week later, you're like, okay, let's do this. Start again. But I think the failure, we do it every day. I'm sure every single one of you, whether you admit or not, you fail every day. I'm not talking failure in class. Anything, right? And how you do it, you just really got to believe. That's why it's important. Anything you do, you got to really believe and have passion and do it for love. Don't do it just for the money, right? I think that's the biggest difference.
How and why did you decide to do a general fund? Do you go on bid, do you go on 50, do you go on what else that can be expected for
Okay, I hope I'm not scaring anyone.
No, so
We have
classes.
I feel sorry. So, when we say internet economy, we have over 30, 40 ideas in the backlog or icebox code, like the preview. And then we pick which one is best to do. Sometimes we do proper business analysis, which one makes sense. Sometimes we just go the old linear method in the technique. So we try to do which one makes sense. But we are known sometimes to do things. I give you an example. When we were doing big bids in Albania, we had somebody in finance. We asked him to do financial analysis, whether it makes sense for us to invest about $250,000 there. And he had 2 weeks to do it. So when he comes back like week 3rd, he's like, we're in the conference room, he goes, guys, I have the report, let's look at it. We're like, the product is launched. And then here's a perspective. So from him, he goes, how can you launch a product before you do financial analysis, right? Makes no sense. That's not proper business practice. No professor will ever teach you that. And I don't recommend it per se, but it depends how you look at it. But from our perspective, we were able to create the whole product in 3 weeks, faster than you can do analysis. So how can you do this? In Albania now, we want to do TV series and shows. My team, just like we did there, right? We already started. My team says, let's do analysis. What's the internet penetration? What comedy do they like? And I'm like, if we do that, it's going to take you 2-3 months. In 2-3 months, we'll make 2-3 shows. They're like, yeah, it's going to cost you more. I'm like, time, it's much more valuable than let's say we did doing business. And we did. So same thing for big biz. Google didn't have this street view. And one day,
the street view started, first we were like, what can we do something out of the box that's really important and interesting to get? So like street view, we did research personally. I looked only two companies in the world with cameras like this, where you can drive 100 kilometers per hour and shoot 6 frames per second. One in California, one in Frankfurt, Germany. It was a Friday. I contacted the person. I'm like, I'm coming Monday. It's fine. I didn't have a ticket. I bought a ticket. Monday morning, I leave personally from Pristina, go to Frankfurt, meet, test the camera. Monday night, same day. I had paid already for it. I had the camera with me. I had to ship it separately and came in and picked this. It was an expensive camera, still is, but we did it. We did pick this because we saw that if you're looking for something in Java, you can find it in Google. Make no difference, except on schedule at that time. Yeah. So we are like, what can we do something that Google doesn't have? Google does a much better job than we do in organizing the information. I mean, that PhDs per square foot more than people drink beer. That's what they have. And we don't. We have 2-3 pages. So we are like, if we digitalize every interest point, every location, phone numbers, but Google doesn't have that, so you will have to come to us. So often now, even if you go on Google, you look for writing or giraffe, the information is going to come up, and the location is going to come up from BigBiz. BigBiz today is one of the most 95% of visits are organic. We don't spend a penny on marketing. It's self-evolved and self-evolved. So we knew that was like part of the infrastructure we needed to grow in the future. It's not a money-generating business. It burns a lot of cash because of technical needs, but it's key for the future. Today, literally, if you want to find, here is a puppy doctor for pets, and my dog was a little bit sick, and I couldn't find one open on Saturday or Sunday. Looking on BigBiz, I found one hours, and it was right there. It was good, not bad. So we did it as part of the infrastructure to allow other fellows to grow. That was the
If I can ask one, if you look at just to draw the knowledge of Java and Google killed a lot of its initiatives. They had Google Video, Google Buzz, which was the Twitter, Google Answers, Google Notebook. So, as Giraffe, when you look at all the services that you've grown, is there a service that makes more economic sense, like this right now, but you don't have a point to kill it?
Yeah, we have. And it's tough to kill any of the services. But if a new CEO would come in, probably would kill one or two. But the reason we don't, because we have the sentimental connection, which is no good for business. But as entrepreneurs, I think passion is what makes the biggest difference at the end. So what we do is we try to make sense of it. I'll give you an example. Real estate's listing in giraffe.com, it's number 2 in Kosovo and number 1 on Google. If you search for Banez Pristina on Google, we are number 1. But it doesn't generate any revenue. And then what we did, we have a network which does advertising. We do tracking of the users to look at the real estate. So now when we go and promote the marketing for real estate agencies, we can target those people. So it doesn't directly generate, but it gives us something that no other online media can do. So they cannot go to Portal X and say target people who are looking for real estate, but they can do that with us. So we try always to find something like, oh, here's a value, just like when you drown in and you see a piece of, how do you say, caution, some wood and you try to, but there are some, and we are looking at them. Eventually we have to focus on the financial ROI. Now that we've got Series B, we are getting more from startup converted to a little bit of scale up / corporate. We hate that, but we have to implement some processes in-house that are better.
How hard was it to seek for funds? I mean, initially you said that you use your own funds, but did you seek any funds like in Kosovo or internationally, considering there are no VCs here or that many business angels, as I'm aware of? How hard was it to?
We were able to attract VC funds as per our data, there are not a lot of intensive data, but BC funds from all former Yugoslavia, we have raised the most. BC, not private. But we were a little bit lucky and we worked hard and we were persistent. It took us a year and a half to raise Series B. I've been working on this a year and it has been roller coaster. I mean, it's hard to even see. You're out of cash and this. And it's just a fine line between running completely out of cash and that's very tough, right? It was very, very hard. But what made it hard is not our business, because if I say we're growing as fast as Google with 314% Series B, investors should jump on it, right? True, should, but not involved in this. When you go to Silicon Valley and you speak to investors who really invest big amounts, they're like, where are you? You're Kosovo, Balkans, you're, oh, that part of it. For them, it's not important if it's Czech Republic, Slovakia, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, Bosnia, Slovenia, they don't care. They say, oh, that part. Silicon Valley. European investors are different. But for me, it's easier to work with US investors than European investors. Right? If you tell a US investor you want to do IPO from here, NASDAQ, I love that story. Regardless how improbable it is very difficult. Tell European, okay, come down to earth, let's speak real. Well, what we have done in the last 6 years is not come down to earth. This is, so if I'm going to do a company that's worth 20, 30, 40, 50 million, probably I would have stayed in the States from financial perspective. I want to be able, with the team, to build a company that we are proud, and it would, if not a unicorn, at least a ponycorn. Right? So at least reach to 300, 400, 500 million dollars. So convincing them was very difficult. Our international news don't do us justice. This is my biggest concern that I think together we can help. For instance, New York Times publishes an article of our hotel in the city, which is not the most beautiful one, but the title is, it's not the worst looking hotel in the world, but then again, the world is big. True, it's not. But then you have Swiss Diamond, which is the best hotel in the region. Why didn't you put that? So the perception of we are not stable, we are growing, we have progress as economies. I've gone to high school before 99, so I know that era. We are much better than we were, but we are still too far behind. But we are not as bad as it seems. Look at what our stars from Kosovo are doing all over the world, from Madita and Rita and everybody else, right? So our football team, you guys from AUK, I know a lot of people study abroad and do a lot of things. So we are not perfect, but we are not that bad. So our image we have to change. So my first job speaking to investors has always been, come and visit. It's not as bad as it seems. Go out, try some traditional food, go to a club, go to duplex, see things. It's life. The youngest population, but see it. So if I couldn't resolve the image problem, I wouldn't do kids. I would just let it go. It makes no sense. So that was the difficult part. But I think once you have precedents, examples, I think it's easier. Because now investors say, hey, look, we have a company with this Series B. But it's a safe. No investor would invest that amount of money because it's safe. So you kind of have a heads up. But it was one of the most difficult jobs. I love to do it, but probably I can open 2-3 giraffes more before being able to, I already started working with Series C. I already worked with Series C. It's tough.
Because I was in Silicon Valley this March and like in a venture capitalism forum, so comparing the startup culture there with here is of course very different, and analyzing the startup culture to my honors project, I see that it's when seeking for funds, they classify it as very difficult, considering VCs and business angels, we're business angels, so business angels at all. So that's why I was interested in asking, did you seek funds here, or that was?
I was spoken outside of 400 investors, and maybe 1 or 2 came in. So the ratio was less than 0.5%, 0.5%. Here I tried, but here you have people who would invest, but they don't have the startup mentality. For instance, I said Series C. Every investor, if you pick up would have gone years back, they would say, okay, how much you need? X. Okay, I'll pay 40% of it. You cannot raise anymore. You can't. So investors are problem to give you $250,000 to take 5%. You're off. We have no product. We took more than a quarter, and we gave single-digit percentage, very low. And investors accepted that because they knew eventually it would make sense. It's impossible here. It doesn't exist. And it's not their fault. They are very successful businessmen. They do a lot of things. But they're not exposed to this type of investment structure. For them, it's easier to build the building itself, which is good, has good ROI, has low risk. But it doesn't have the upside of 50x return. No investment in Kosovo has 50x return. Right? A problem. So this has, so in Kosovo was very difficult. I couldn't do it. Even though I tried. I had an article 3 years ago in Kosovo Diaspora, I believe. It's still up. And my law school says exactly this problem. Don't become, and I say don't become a Series B investor. That was 3 years ago. But it's very tough. It's very, very tough.
Yeah, that's right.
But doable. Because this stuff maybe makes it even more interesting. I mean, in America, to get Series A is a big deal. Series B, it's even bigger deal. Forget C. It's just a small number of companies do that. So we did a lot of work. We are growing a lot. We have a good market, but we were also lucky. It takes a little bit of hard work, combination of both.
So I wanted to ask, why giraffe? Why did you decide to make
It's a nice animal. It's not a predator to any other animal, and it's not a prey of any predator. It can survive on its own. It's herbivore. It's beautiful to see. But above all, it has a characteristic from the evolution perspective that adapts to its environment the best. A giraffe, and this is a statement you will hear all the time I say it, so sorry for repeating for those who have heard it. When the baby giraffe is born, within 10 minutes it can stand, within 10 hours it can run. How long does it take us humans to walk? We think we are in a space of technology that things change overnight. Look at what happened with Snapchat. Within months, you can start a company today, 3 months after we might be in trouble, right? So our key element as a value for the team has to be to adapt. That's the only thing that really, really matters. If you're able to adapt, you'll be sustainable for a long time, but not forever, nothing really. But if you survive for 10, 15 years, I think we outdid ourselves. So giraffe, that's why. Nice animal and being able to adapt in evolution. We love that.
Also, it's
Long neck.
a
lot of people-
Was it that long? With the bath.
My question is, there's a problem in this space that we all have. For example, we finish undergraduate studies and that there's a dilemma on whether we should go on a master's degree or should start our own business. Would you recommend to going first and get the technical knowledge of that specific field? You want to innovate or be an entrepreneur and have a business, or just start it and learn throughout the way or gather other people?
The formal answer, what I did, I worked right after high school, I worked with United Nations, then I did bachelor's, I worked a little bit, I did master's. After master, I worked on really large scale projects, and all of that experience is very useful for me in the company, especially at this phase of the company. What I have done experience-wise, this is what we have reached now with Java, this is what I know to do the best. Bringing it up to here was only for me, right? Everything I had to do. So that's what I did. What you should do, I think it depends if you're ready. If you think you need some skills before or to learn doing the way. I don't think there is a proper answer. In anecdotal form, I would say do whatever your heart tells you. Do what you want to do. Why are you here today and not in the break or reading or home or at the cafes? Why are you here? Because you decided to be here, right? So do what your heart is. So first thing is find what your passion is. Because you play football or basketball, do you have any, what's your hobby? What do you do? Gaming, Dota 2, CSGO, right? So find your passion and then just follow that. Because if you do something for passion, you don't care if you earn it or not, and that's exactly where you're going to make it. So I think it depends what you want to do. try it. Nothing wrong, try it in 6 months and fail it. But one thing to keep in mind, if you start anything, it's not a sprint. I see in Kosovo it's happening, it's a marathon. If you think within 6 months or a year you're going to make it, I'm sorry, you might. Elon Musk might, you might, I don't know. But in principle, I think it's very difficult. And it will take 4+ years. If you're ready to sacrifice 4+ years and take no vacation at all, like me and a lot of people on my team, we haven't taken any vacation. And we have no vacation policy. Take as much as you want, we haven't taken that. Then, then do that. I think it's you, internally, what you want to do and how you want to do it. I know people who study music at UCLA, I'm not being proud, and they are programmers. And they have their own programs. And mixing it two, intersecting two fields is one of the most beautiful things we can do. Right? But learn programming on their own. So you have a lot of advice online and from professors how to do it. Work 2 years, go to masters, work on that. It depends. Statistically speaking, data support that around 32, 3 to 40 something, that's the best age to start something because you've gathered a lot of knowledge and everything else. That's data. But if you look at outliers, are the people at 20 something that opened one of the most disruptive companies. Instagram and WhatsApp and Snapchat, right? I mean, who thought the Snapchat would work? It seems absurd, but it worked. So I don't think we don't have enough information to be sure. It depends. Environment is changing, circumstances are changing. So I don't think one rule fits all. But if you do it for the passion, I think that's the best. Steve Jobs said, we cannot connect the dots looking forward. It's his quote. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, right? How things got away. So if you cannot connect it looking forward, only backwards, what should you do? Then, again, he says, part of his quote says, just keep on doing, push forward, believe that the dots are going to connect. Have that belief. Belief you cannot have unless you have passion. And eventually things will connect. If you don't give up, things will connect. If you just keep trying and trying and trying, things will connect.
One question. When I sit here, I always get, this right to ask the first and the last person.
But feel free and be
So, I didn't know you started on the second floor of the house, because the narrative is always we started on the garage, and that's usually how
we had a beautiful second floor was with the view. Our first office was beautiful, top of the line.
But what I would like to ask, and maybe connect to Shkirchen, is there is some notion that sometimes when you do schooling on entrepreneurship or you learn more about business, you become a little bit more afraid and more cautious. And sometimes that has an effect on not pursuing a certain business idea because economically it doesn't quite yield the success. So what do you suggest? Is it just passion? Is it informed passion? Is it, it's how to not get scared. And I got this from personal experience. I had 3 businesses back in 2004. Sold 2, my shares, closed 1, came to study entrepreneurship. My passion changed, right? So now when I think of whether I should start a business again, maybe sometimes in the future, I go like, oh, because this doesn't work, that doesn't work. So how to keep going and outgrowing yourself in that?
So I think, I'm not going to say I'm answering, but I'm going to participate in the discussion, because I don't know. But I'll participate in the discussion. I also think you might be right. The more you know it, you are more conservative. You calculate risk differently. So if I knew that the search engine, the general search engine, not vertical are those where you specifically look for phone number, bus ticket, apartment. Those we are still number one in Kosovo, but general search, history, Konica or something else, Google. If I knew that how tough it is for this to do, not only technically, the people, the team that you need, but also the servers and technology you need, I would not have started this, because I know it doesn't work. You cannot beat Google in that. You can beat it if you own the data, then Google has nothing to do with it, because it's your data, which we are doing. So the more you know about that, is different. If I knew e-commerce will have such a difficult operations on the back end of logistics. It's 5% technology, 95% operations. Probably wouldn't start it. So again, there is a quote that says, only the crazy ones, the ideas of those who are crazy are the only ones who can actually do those crazy things, something like this. So I think that has something to do. But also some people maybe really want to challenge themselves. They have done it, they can see that they can do it in corporate world. I could technically, I've had offers also from big name companies after I came here 2 months after to work for them. Not here, outside. Like, you would know those companies, top 5 in the world maybe. And I knew that I could. So for me, I'm like, no, I want to challenge something. We are human beings, we like to be challenged, right? So that has something to do, but the more maybe it becomes conservative. But then also you have cases where people, yeah, it depends. It really depends. But I think it will make you more conservative. But in my case, I got formal education, everything, and I just took the leap of faith. But that leap I took, and I didn't look back. It's a tough one. But if we have to pick which is the first one, I think it's passion. First is passion. But to have passion, you need to know. So passion is easy to say, but you cannot say somebody have passion. Wow. Okay, good. Thank you. Now I know. But to have passion, you need to know for yourself what you want. What makes you happy. And that's the most difficult thing to answer for us as human beings, I think. What we really want. Because we might want to go to the reef for a few days, and you go there, it's exciting, and then you're like, okay, just walk there, right? What you really want. Once you find out what you really want, you convert that into a passion, and then it's all about execution. I mean, the idea, some people say it's worth little, I say it's worth zero. Execution eventually takes over. There are a lot of things that have been done before us on e-commerce, and they will come a lot. The difference, execution. How close do you stick to it? Our first Black Friday, the whole team was there until 6, 7 a.m. Our servers went down, we were still there. So it's about executing that. But to be able to execute 20 hours a day, you cannot do it unless you have passion. It's just too much. If you don't love it, you don't want to do it. It's just as simple as that. You can force yourself once, twice, 3 times for 2 months. Making a marathon out of that, you can only do it if you have that passion. So I think, in my opinion, passion would be one of the... So it's not ambition, right? There's a little bit difference. It's a passion. An ambition would be to become rich, and then there are different ways to do it. But passion to do something, to create something, that you cannot do it alone, then it's a little bit different. So passion will be on the top list. Yeah?
Is there the possibility to, let's say, other people add information in Giraffe? For example, let's say for the bus schedule, I know something that there isn't actually, so I want to add it. Can
Most
we
of
add
the
it?
services that we have is actually open to community for bus, interest points, updating phone numbers of the visit, everything. It can be on the site. Typically, there's a question mark, and you can add the feedback and reviewed by our team within 24 hours. Yeah. And most of the info, it's updated now actually through this
So before I ask my question, I'm just an alumni here, so I'd like to thank you also for having the time to share all these stories, because pretty much everyone could learn from them, and especially the failing part. I would be interested because except your company, do you have any other priorities that you would like to focus on? And for the company, do you have some main indicators that increase the performance of Giraffa, such as would they be your persistence of employees, your persistence as the business owner, or the razor sharp focus?
So the question is, which one of these are for the future, and what's my personal interest? Or
Like, do you have any other priorities except your company, and what does increase your company's performance?
I have tried since I come back all my priorities to be in line with Giraffa. If something is not in line with Giraffa, I will not do it. Because I have fully dedicated myself into this, and I don't think there's part-time entrepreneurs. Some people do think so. You can start first few months until you balance yourself part-time, but eventually it is more than full-time job. So everything that I'll do for interest for as long as I'm in Giraffa is going to be Giraffa. So if tomorrow we want to do a new product, it's going to be under Giraffa. Even if it's my idea, it's going to go to the shareholders, all shareholders. There are other entrepreneurs which I work with, and they are serial entrepreneurs. They own 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 businesses. That's perfectly fine. But for me, it makes more sense to be focused everything under one umbrella. That's why you have so many products. It was never a business plan to do so many Giraffa products. It was just one or two. So the investors have benefited out of this. And I think this has played a positive role for the investors to participate still and give us more money, because it's like they own a share of my professional will in this, at least for the next 4 or 5 years. That's one. 2, what increases the performance? I'm one of the shareholders, the key shareholder, but I'm not the business owner. We have more than half of our team are shareholders. But what increases performance, I think, eventually it's going to be all about the team. But the team has to see that. You cannot tell. You might show them the vision, they have to believe it, and you have to stand to it, but you cannot just tell them, you have to model the way. If I say we have to work, if an app takes 3 months to deliver, we have to do it in 1, that means we have to really be focused there. And if I don't go to work, or if I say 2, 3 hours, that's not the way to do it. You don't, you show, you don't tell. So I think the first important thing is that. In terms of actual strategic moves, in Kosovo we are very big in terms of our products, and in Albania, secondary, and then Macedonia. But we have to replicate what we have done in Kosovo much more in Albania and Macedonia. In terms of strategy, we have to do much more in content in Albania and Macedonia, in e-commerce, and also Albanian diaspora. About 350,000 or 400,000 people from Germany visit us on a monthly basis in Albanian diaspora. Same for Switzerland and others. So, team, strategic, geo expansion. And the third one, finding the balance between doing the proper business case before execution, but not too much that it defeats the purpose of agility and growth. I don't know what that balance is. We are trying, me and the team and I are trying to figure that out. We don't know yet. It's not something you can search on Google, but we are working on that area. If we crack that, I think we should be in a very good position. We are already, to give you perspective, the first quarter of this year is bigger than the whole 2017. Visits, revenue, all people. So we are still on the same trajectory of growth. We are not stopping. And guess what? We have another 3-4 million people waiting for our services in Albania and Macedonia. Let's hope we are in good health and good motive, and I think we will do. Thank you.
Just a round of applause, I guess.
Oh, I have a question for.
Okay.
Whoever wants to answer.
You weren't prepared.
Whoever wants to answer. Do you have anything that you love to do, like a passion, and you're afraid to start for whatever reason? What's that reason? Whoever wants to go first. Yeah.
Okay, so my let's say problem right now is I'm pursuing I'm studying economics and management in my last year, and management and entrepreneurship. But I'm more like interested in, I've always wanted to open my own business regarding like I'd say design overall, because I haven't still specified like really what I want to focus on. And I would say that's the thing that it's a bit scary or seems a bit scary to me. So I know I have the passion to, like, for example, let's say open a company for events or to wrap gifts or to organize events, birthdays, and so on and so forth, or just like for designing houses or decorating the houses, or like it's very very general. So it needs to specify, as you cannot focus on all of them at once, you know. So that's the key problem, I would say. But like I just currently waiting to finish my study and focus on that so that I see where I fit best. And like match my studies with what I want to do.
Thank you. I'm going to comment, but maybe I'll listen to others, so I comment at the same time.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
So when you mentioned passion, what I like to do is obviously photography. So that's what I've been taught also when I was during my universities here. But the point is, for example, because apart from my real job, sometimes I do photography for individual clients or even companies. And the thing is that it's not that I was afraid to open my own business to offer photography services and videography services. But the point is that, for example, sometimes when I want to buy or invest in a new technology or technologies, such as buying new lenses for cameras or any other stuff, it's the lack of import of technology here in Kosovo, because I'd rather buy the technology here rather than from any other country. And the point is that here I could be more efficient. For example, I can go in a shop, check the technology, play with it, and then if I find any mistake, I can return it back. While if I order from another country, except the waiting part that I have to wait, for example, at least 15 days, because it happened to me, on the other side, I'm losing, for example, at least 1 or 2 clients. So what would be your suggestion, let's just say, to open such business with that lack of technology? Should I keep believing that any other, let's just say, Canon shop will be open here, or Fuji shop or something, that I could also invest for my country and at the same time I can buy the technology here?
Okay, I'll answer.
Hello. I'm very interested in so many things about multimedia, things like photography, video, animation, design. I'm very interested in these things, but like the thing that frightens me a little bit is that the equipment you need to do these things is very expensive. Like there are cheap ones, but it may not be that good. And also these things take a lot of time, effort, and energy to make. So I want to know your answer of how can I do these things.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, can I try to answer? I'll start with the first one. I think the first thing I will look at is throw away everything that you've been told in terms of, because you said something, focus, right? Everywhere it says, any entrepreneurship book, speeches, everything they say, and they are right, I may agree with it, but if we start with preconceived notions of something can or cannot be done, then we are already started in the wrong way. I think you have to break it. That's what disruption is. You do something for which it's not known before that can be done, and you did it. That's what disruption ends up being in the market. When I started Giraffa, 99.999% of people said this doesn't work, except my family members that wanted to support me and they had no idea what I'm talking about. But you should, so some of the investors said, Merkin, focus on one product, focus on searching that network. That's what you're doing. Good focus. Why are you looking at products? And I said, my focus is by focusing on other products. So it depends. Focus, it's good, and typically you have a lot of quantitative and qualitative ways to support that. But just try to throw away everything. Just go and do it. You said you like events and organizing birthdays and decoration. Go do all of them. Have you done any of them not for free? Just here, look at this.
Yeah, well, I
Make
mean,
a proposal there. You say,
that's why.
guys, I'm going to make this out of the space. I'm not asking for money, right? Why? Because you do it for fun. You said you play CSGO, right? Do you play or not? Yeah. So, do you play CSGO because somebody pays you? Because you like it. I play sometimes too. So why you do it because of that. Nobody's paying you. That's the difference. That's, so I think just go and do it. Go to certain offices or propose, say, guys, I'm so-and-so, let me make a proposal, no charge. I just want to do it because I love to do this. So I think, and when you do that, things just start working.
Yeah, I've already done that, so I think that's why the problem is. I mean, there are so many things that I like, so that's why I'm saying that you need to focus, you need to start somewhere. So you can just do all of them at once. So you need to start somewhere, and you have to figure out where you want to start. And then everything, comes along the way, and you figure out all of
So what do you do on your day off on Sunday?
Sunday? Oh, I design.
Other than relaxing, but what do you do for fun?
Paintings, art, fashion design, sketches,
You see?
all of that.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
If you do something just for you, you don't care if somebody sees it or not. I think that's part of it. But it's very tough to find that.
Yeah.
In terms of, I see that you're doing that already, photography and video recording. I don't think the technology should stop here. I think the answer is the same. And I'll give you an example again. I started this session. I'm repeating because it's very important, as this is not a lecture, it's me sharing what I have seen and could be wrong, which I gave that as a disclaimer, right? I'm repeating to make sure we know. When we started, from my experience, we had in Brazil a 20 megabit to 25 megabit internet connectivity. In my server that was getting freezing every 2 hours. I had to restart. There was no solution because by downloading, crawling the pages, things were getting stuck. I had no solution. There was no 1 gig speed like it's today. I mean, it's not ancient, but it was a few years ago, but that's a reality. That didn't stop us. We still don't have we have one of the largest tech infrastructure right now in the country, but even it's peanuts compared to Google and YouTube and everything else, and we still do. We don't have a lot of tech that other people use, and we still do. I've seen a movie made with an iPhone that it's hard to tell if they did it with a $500,000 camera access, or what's those camera access?
Red, Mario Alexa.
There you go. That word. And they couldn't tell. So I don't think technology should stop you, to be honest. In terms of waiting, if you have any specific technology, speak to us because we have big access now. We can help you there, maybe. But it's maybe more for you technology to start, but it can be done. Remember, people did graphics in MS-DOS and 286 PCs, right? Banana, you remember? And
I wrote 40 pages of code to draw the football.
there you go, right?
Basic.
14. Exactly.
Nice
So
form.
it's tougher. We don't have the luxury of having those, but I see excellent computers over there, right? That can be done. Not for cameras, but for design. So I don't think that technology should stop you. However, though, if it is a challenge to bring those equipment that you produce high quality of recording, every challenge that you see, guess what? It could be an opportunity. If you're able to find a streamline supply chain for that, you're solving your problem, but others too. You already have an opportunity there. Opening an e-commerce in Kosovo, having stock with 50,000 inventory units, it's impossible because the market is too small. Inventory aging will cost you too much. You're not going to make money, you're going to lose money. But that didn't stop us to be connected to one of the biggest warehouses in Europe. And we have 50,000 units in stock, but not necessarily all of them in our warehouse. So we don't have inventory aging. There is a creative way to solve that. If it is a challenge for you, guess what? It's a challenge for somebody else. And if it's a challenge for somebody else, and if it is too many of those somebody else, you already have a business. That will be.
Also, I have a
follow-up question?
Yeah,
Something?
sure.
Like, one of the things that I'm very interested about is animation. Like, when I was a boy, I saw very cool cartoons on TV, and I wanted to make those in the future. When I was when I watched those, I was like, that is going to be my future job, because it was so cool. But now I found out that animation takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of patience. So now I'm starting to become scared of the thing that I really wanted to be, because I found out like how hard it was. So what do you think that I should do?
I think you know the answer to that better than me. Everything that's worth doing, look, regardless what it takes, if it's worth to you, time makes no difference. There are some things that take 18 months or more to do. Movie production, large scale or big length movies, fully featured, take years to do. But if it's worth for you that then you do it. Same analogy could be applied to job. I'm doing this for 6 years. Is it worth it? Is it worth it for another 6 years to stay there? To me, it makes sense. So regardless what the result is, whether it's a simple animation that it took you 2 weeks or a month, or you did 10 designs in a day, it's up to you how you value the output of your invested time and everything else. But we are hiring motion graphic designers. If you want to join us, I can get you in contact with our HR.
I'm still learning, but
we have a lot of people who learn in our jobs. I'm learning too. I'm learning how to become a good CEO. And I'm not, sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not. We are never ready, I think. We always learn by doing it. But it's up to you. It's really, you see a lot of answers that doesn't help much, but it's internally what you and nobody can help you at the end of the day, right? Not help you in a sense of show you the way. They can say that's the door somewhere over there, but you have, using the cliche, you have to walk, the door. But it's really you at the end of the day. You and the people you work with, you get together, the team, you become as one. That's the difference maker. Nobody will make more difference than you can convince yourself.
Sure. There's a lot of pictures. There are
Apple, HP, and Google.
Yeah, but there was a lot of many different entrepreneurs, like Steve Jobs, Garage, and Disney, so that just name it, says you something a lot. I mean, what's your excuse? They started in Garage or something. I don't have a garage. Now we have second floor.
This photo was so popular in our team, and there is one team member, his name is Bjertan, he's in charge of managing the operations in Java, 50 at Mall e-commerce. When this photo came out, 9 gag I think it was for HP Google Plus. He posted it in our internal community social site that we have. Said, we call him Legend because he adds jokes unexpected. I didn't have a garage. Imagine if I had a garage, where would I be today? Same joke. So, the legend crowd. You had a question?
I wanted to ask from 1 to 10, how lonely was the journey of actually building this site?
From 1 to 10, how long?
Lonely was the journey.
Lonely. Well, in terms of concrete, I'm always around people. Only when I go to sleep, and I go late, I barely get to sleep. I wake up, I'm always around the team almost. And Saturday nights with my family, my sister, and her niece. But so from the external view, I'm never lonely, right? It's always around people. I'm here with people. But in terms of if you define only in terms of trying to continuously push things on the vision that you have and everything else, it can get with certain ideas. It's so tough sometimes to have everybody agree in certain vision that you have. We can debate for days and both we could be right saying the two different things. We might agree that you cannot shoot the same with iPhone as the camera, right? And that makes it lonely sometimes. If you're lonely in an idea that you're pushing as a vision, that's different. So from that perspective, it's a 10. From the actual social perspective, I think it's a 2-3. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to work with a lot of people, and that makes it very entertaining. I'm never bored. How's that? I'm never bored because I don't have the luxury. I get like 500 plus emails a day. So, lonely in terms of being bored? No, 1-2. Lonely in terms of trying to push a vision that it's hard to be understood and to you might seem obvious. That could be at times, not always, 8 to 9.
How hard was building the team at the beginning?
I think luck had to do a lot with it. The first initial developers I was teaching at the University of Prizren, the class was 200 plus. I'm like, whoever gets a 10 on the course, I'll hire. And 3-4 people did, and they're with us today. They are key people in our tech team. They lead everything that we have, and we learn together. It was me and the co-founder John, and we worked with them, and they learned on their own. And we were lucky to have met that opportunity. But then, how hard with the team? I think we have to understand that nobody's perfect. We cannot learn things overnight. We have to accept mistakes. And if you're willing to do that, both parties or us, if we say, look, we don't know everything, but we want to learn. We don't know how this works, but by next week I'll learn it. And if you actually learn it and you keep doing that, that's perfect. So we keep that openness, momentum inside the company to keep that coherency. But even then, it's not always successful. So, because we have cases where there are, say, 10 people, you work with all of them the same, 7 of them make it because they want it, they find that passion. 3, you do the same thing, they don't. So it's not me or others who are making them, they're making themselves. We're just cooperating at that level. It's very difficult, but it's one of the most important things to find. It's to have that. And it's tough, it's never the same. You have to look at it in time series. It's like, depending on what particular time and place. How good was it when we closed the investment? From 1 to 10 was 10. How good was it 2-3 months before the investment? No, 2. Right? So I don't think it's good or bad. Time series and evaluates depending on circumstances.
Thank you again once again.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to come and visit us. You're welcome to come and look at if you want to join us. You're welcome to contact me if you have anything specifically concrete. I get a lot of emails, but I cannot always participate because I get a lot. But if it is something, a specific question, for instance, I need $10,000, can you introduce me to an investor? That's a very specific question. I can either say no, or I can say yes, and send the email right away. But if it is, what idea should I do, or can you review the bid? I don't think I can help you. I'm open to how to communicate and go with
What experiences does somebody need to have to join your team?
It depends on the position and seniority. If you have no experience, you join the company, you shouldn't expect high income or something of those sort. But you should be learning. The first 3 months are like a trial, like everywhere else. And if you show yourself that you're up and learning and growing, it's easy. We had a guy who came as an intern. He's 2 years with us now. He leads he's head of the business intelligence. He came as an intern. And he leads all our business models in every product that we do. He's a 2%. He's 23. He came as an intern. Also, 10 other people came as interns. They are not with us anymore. To get in is not hard as long as you show that you really want to do it. To stay and grow, that's up to you. So we are open technically to test if you really convince us, and you can. It's easy to convince us. The guy applied 5 times in 5 different positions until he got fired. Hired. Thank you.